Hello everybody, welcome to our second lesson. Today we're going to talk about amphibians. So let's go ahead. Today I think it's going to be a shorter lesson than the one from fish, because this group is more simple, so I think it will take shorter. This is our mind map for the 5 group of vertebrates. So you have fish, amphibians, reptiles, mammals and birds. Today we will be focusing on amphibians, okay? So you're wondering, what are amphibians like? So amphibians are mostly terrestrial vertebrates that need to live near the water or very damp environments. They can live both in land and water. I'm going to hide my picture because we have plenty of information today in all the slides, so I don't want my image to be bothering the information, okay? What are the main characteristics of amphibians? They have very thin skin with glands to keep moist, so unlike fishes, they don't have scales. So, okay, there's something new I have added this time. You see this small signal here. That means that if you want additional information about this particular thing, in this case, this is a frog which is poisonous. It's called a poison dart frog. And there is a very interesting documentary which I have put in the optional resources in the lesson. Okay, so if you want more information, every time you see this signal, you can find more information in either in the Padlet or in the lesson. Okay, so let's continue ahead. They have 4 legs. They have developed legs because this is an evolution from fish, and they come out of the water and they develop legs. So they have 4 legs which they use for swimming or jumping or just walking. What about their respiration, their breathing? They have cutaneous respirations. This means that they can breathe through their skin. They capture oxygen through the skin, and then they have capillaries below the skin, below the epidermis, and then in those capillaries there is the exchange of oxygen and then the exhalation of CO2. Okay, so this is happening in the epidermis, and this is one of the reasons why they have to keep moist the epidermis with water in order to help them process this respiration kind. Okay, but in any case, they can have also, well, they also have either lungs or gills. So they can have lungs or gills, and at the same time they can breathe through the skin. Finally, like fishes, they are ectothermic. In this case, this means that, as you know, that they have difficulties for living in very cold areas because their body temperature depends on the temperature on the environment. And in this case, you have additional information also about this very interesting toad, which live in the snow, and it can freeze itself. It's very interesting. What about nutrition in amphibians? So most amphibians drink milk, as you know, or they can drink tea. No, I'm joking. Adult amphibians are carnivores. You know it very well. Surely you have seen this picture many times of a frog just hunting with its tongue an insect or something, unless sometimes they fail. This is a very funny picture. But when they are young, so in this case, you know about tadpoles, these are the baby frogs, they are first herbivores, then omnivores, and when they become adults, they turn to carnivores. Okay? Reproduction in amphibians. Amphibians are very similar to fish in reproduction. They reproduce sexually through external fertilization. So you have this image. You have here the male, you have the female. So what is happening here? What is happening is that the male climbs onto the female's back and starts squeezing, and then in response the female releases the eggs, and then the male fertilizes the eggs as they come out of the female. Okay? So they are amphibians, they are oviparous. They lay the eggs in the water because these eggs, they don't have a shell. just a membrane. You see it here. You see this little larva of a frog here is just a membrane. There is no other protection than this. That means that if the water goes out, then the egg will dry. The process, you've seen that the tadpoles in the previous image, you have seen, just let me hear, you have seen that there are a lot of differences between this, the baby frogs, and the adults. So there is a process which is going on, which is called metamorphosis. You have it here. This is a very nice picture. The larvae hatch from the egg and they become adults through this process. So you have it here. It's very nice picture. It's losing the tail, it's becoming a frog, developing the legs. So what is the process? You have the eggs, which are laid in the water. The embryo starts developing inside the egg. It hatches, and when they come out, they live in the water and they breathe through gills. Okay, they don't have legs, just a tail. They start growing. As skin grows over the gills and disappear, so the gills disappear. They start developing the back legs first. They grow, then they develop the front legs. They start losing the tail in the case of frogs, and then when they become adult, they lose completely the tail and they develop completely. Okay, so as I told you before, larvae have a tail and gills. They have no limbs, and they are called tadpoles. Okay? Main types of amphibians. You see that there are several kinds of amphibians, but these are the two main groups. Okay? You see obvious differences. This one doesn't have a tail. This one has a tail. This is a salamander. This is a frog. So these groups, the main difference between them is going to be either if they have a tail or they don't have a tail. So this group that don't have a tail, they are called anurans. Anurans, that means no tail. Okay? An is a suffix which comes from Greek, which means no, and ura means no tail. Oura means tail in Greek. Okay? So anurans mean they don't have a tail. In this case, they have a tail. They are called urodels. Ura is tail. Deles means that you can see it, that they have it. So the meaning of urodels is that they have a tail. Okay? So these are the two main groups, but you see other differences. For instance, anurans have short body. They don't have a tail, as we said. Their back legs are longer, and they use for jumping or swimming. Some species have between the fingers, they have interdigital webbing, which help them when they swim. And they divide mostly in frogs and toads. Okay? It's not the same thing. The toad is not the male of the frog. They are different species. On the other side, urodeles, they have a long body. They have a tail. They have 4 legs of a similar length. And in this case, the two main kinds of urodeles are newts, tritones, and salamandras. Okay, frogs and toads, ranas y sapos. Some more facts about, interesting facts about amphibians. The bright color of some frogs, you've seen this one is very nice, indicate to predators that they are poisonous. In the case of the dart frog, I think this one is probably a dart frog. This is a very poisonous frog. It's probably, it can kill you. Another interesting thing, for instance, there is a kind of amphibian which is called the axolotl, which lives in water and it breathes through gills. So when they become adult, they don't lose the gills. You can see them here. They have external gills. This is a very curious amphibian, which is an urodeles, because it has tail and 4 legs of the same length. Another interesting fact is that, what do you think this is? Do you think that's a worm? Well, it looks like a worm, but it is not a worm because it has a skeleton, this one. This is a kind of amphibian with no legs. Okay? It's not among the two main types, but there is a type of amphibian that has no legs. It's fine if you know about it. They are called Sicilians. Okay? So now you know that there is a kind of amphibian which doesn't have legs. And finally, this is very curious also, there is the biggest amphibian in the world is the giant Chinese salamander, which can be as much as 1.8 meters long. So you have it here. And we have come to the end. We come back to our mind map. You remember, we studied first fish, the two kinds of fish we studied, bony fish, cartilaginous fish. Now we have studied amphibians with two groups, anurans and urodeles. Okay? So that's all, guys. I hope you liked the video. Just let me hi, see you here, and say bye-bye. See you tomorrow. I hope you liked the lesson. Okay? Goodbye.